Hey, this is Moses here from MGTOW Mafia. First, I want to give a special shout out to MGTOW Gopnik. Thank you for subscribing and watching my videos. Thanks for tuning in. Let me tell you a little bit about my childhood. I have a friend who I grew up with. We used to hang out all the time. We rode bicycles. We rode mopeds together. We saw movies. We used to go to all the local dances and meet up with each other. And we had great times. And we even kept in close touch when we were married and up until now. During my friend's young adult years, he did very well and had a couple businesses, and he was very well known throughout the community. However, I never heard of my friend's wife before until he married her. So to bring this story forward, my friend's wife all of a sudden one day said she wanted to get divorced, and now she is pressing fake, erroneous, false charges against him, including a fake, erroneous restraining order. My friend is soft-spoken, but he let his wife trample all over him. So for you young guys out there, you really need to pay attention to this so you don't have to suffer the same consequences as my friend. And for the people with more experience out there, please feel free to help my friend, and maybe this can help you as well. My friend is here now. His name is Willy, and he agreed to allow me to interview him. And I just want to ask him a couple questions, and he may take over and decide to talk about what he wants to talk about. But in the meanwhile, I just want to know, how did the two of you meet?
We met in the, believe it or not, in the Jewish Community Center. My wife was a clerk in the gym, and I actually met her on the last day she was working. I had gotten her phone number off the message board. I called her up. We had a hot and heavy relationship, and that was approximately 15 years ago. She had some doubts of marrying me due to some alcohol and some marijuana use that she says really wasn't her style, but I had a lot of money and I had a good family backing me up. I had bought a brand new home, and she agreed to marry me. We had a very intimate sexual relationship 4 or 5 times a week. And then she said, you know, I'm not really agreeing with you. I don't see a future in this. And we had one child 14 years ago. After that, she was very borderline depressed. She goes, I don't trust you. I have a problem trusting you. Approximately 2 years later, we had another child, a boy. Approximately 3 years later, we had a girl. And then 6 years ago, we had a boy. We had 4 children. And then my wife told me she's having an intimacy issue. She doesn't feel she could sleep with me any longer. She didn't want to see me naked. She didn't want to see me sleeping in the same room with her. And it became very, very tough. Approximately 2 years ago, there was no intimacy any longer. I lived in a separate room, and my wife basically walked out of the marriage. She no longer wanted to participate in anything, and as we were not fighting, we also weren't talking. She basically became a non-participant in the marriage. I would come to her, I would tell her, I want to talk to you, I want to make this better. And it seemed like if I told her I want to make it better, that I'd be restricted from even going in a car with her any longer. After 2 years, as recent as 2 months ago, I got very aggravated. I said it's not fair. I want to go to a marriage counselor. I want to try anything. I just want to see what we could do. My wife told me there's no intimacy option anymore, and she doesn't look at me this way. And that was basically the end of it. And I was no longer able to connect with her. I was served with divorce papers. My wife came to me and says there's a friendly letter. It was actually titled a friendly letter for divorce from the attorney, that I should hire a lawyer. And my wife would come to me, we could be friends, we could do holiday together. And in my stupidity, she would hug me and kiss me. This is going to be for the best. Sign here, everything will be okay. I started to sign my life away, not reading the agreement that I'm agreeing to. And after I signed it, I said, please, I want to make up with you. I'm sorry, can we make up? And the option was we cannot make up. So I took out the agreement. I started to read it. I saw it had supervised child visitation. I said, I never had a problem with my children before. Why am I having a problem now? And they told me, sorry, you signed it. I also signed not to live in the home anymore. The police were called. I was escorted out of my house with a temporary restraining order that my wife actually went to visit the 180 program, which is a battered wife program. And they contacted a judge in the middle of the night, and a temporary restraining order was issued. One of the reasons was that I was calling her for reconciliation, and they construed it as harassment. Another reason was I yelled at her. Another reason was I, was getting drunk, and she feels unsafe around me. I hired a lawyer. My lawyer told me this agreement regarding child visitation is something that it could change. A person could sign away his rights. I don't want to see my children, and the court will decide it's in the best interest of the children to see them. So my wife got mad at me. You don't have the right to change that. We want to give you the kids for 2 hours a week. I told her I didn't know what I was signing. I hired an attorney for $10,000, and I fought the temporary restraining order. I'm also fighting for the visitation of my children, which they don't want to give me any right to see them without supervision. In the interim, my son, my 12-year-old, he's the second born, has been coached and videoed to give testimony against me. That I asked my wife, is she dating someone? I don't understand why we can't make up. And this has been going on for 2 years. And now I'm in the final stages of my divorce. Basically, what will happen is if your wife wants to get divorced, you will be getting divorced also. My mediator has been against me, but thank God I got a lawyer. I'll recommend it to everybody who ever gets an attorney or gets a letter like this, that they should contact an attorney immediately. And, unfortunately, I look at my wife and I'm in love with her, and she looks like that woman I married 15 years ago, but she's really not. They change. They no longer have any sympathy for you. They no longer have any love for you. And basically, they just want to do as best as they can on the divorce so she could date. She says, I'm not looking to get married. I'm looking to date. And if I meet a gentleman and he takes me to dinner, he's entitled to sleep with me. He's entitled to fuck me. He's entitled to this. And I really have been totally mentally stripped from this kind of language. But I don't know what to do, and I don't know what to say. So basically, I'm at wit's end. I am getting divorced. My wife tells me she wants to lead not a promiscuous life, but a dating life, a single life. She wants to go out at 41. My children will never meet her boyfriend. She'll fuck around a little bit, and that will be the end of it. Meanwhile, I'll go from my 4,000 square foot house to an 800 square foot apartment, and my wife will have 2/3 of my money, and that'll be the end of it. I really hope that I could make up with her, but it doesn't seem to be in the cards.
Okay, Willie, I just want to ask you a few questions regarding what you just said. You said a lot. I hope the audience digested most of it. But I want to know, did you ever threaten your wife? I mean, I know you said you got loud at the table because you felt it wasn't right. But getting loud is not against the law. It's not threatening. Did you actually threaten her in any way where you said you were going to hurt her, injure her, kill her, anything like that?
No, basically what happened was I said, I want to sit and have a conversation with you. I called my wife. I said, I want to talk to you for 5 minutes. She said she's going to call the police. She's comfortable with her decision. I said, why don't you call the police? I want to have a conversation with you. If that's how you think you want to deal with me after 15 years, call the police.
You had some use of weed and alcohol. Was it a light use, a heavy use, medium? What was it?
The alcohol believe it or not, didn't start until the divorce proceeding. I did smoke marijuana frequently during my marriage. My wife would videotape it, and she would, you know, put it in a file on her phone. She would be holding her phone close to her. She started to attend the gym. She started to become friendly with other men.
Okay, the most important question I want to ask you, when did you start losing your wealth? You used to have a beautiful business, as I remember. You had a couple beautiful businesses, and I realized you weren't doing well and lost them. How long ago did you lose your businesses?
I'm married for 15 years. The first 10 years of my life, I made $1 million per year on average. The 11th year, I lost literally everything I had through a bad partner, a fraud, theft kind of situation. I was struggling. I was able to make income for another 2 years. Took me to 12 years. And the last 3 years of the marriage have been terrible. There's been no income. There's been no money. I don't have any income. I don't have any capital to create a business, to create income. And I really don't have any per se skill other than being an entrepreneur, buying for $1 and selling for $2. So I wasn't able to acquire any capital to fund any business. So basically, I went into a complete spiral. My wife started working